and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could you remain standing 1 minute? Just like to have a moment of silence for residents that have passed this month. Vernon Bunker from Parkcrest Apartments, William Viss from Binneywater Road, Donald Breitenstein, that's Mandy and Michelle's uncle. William Stokes from Bloomington, Maureen Strobel from Parkcrest, and Donnie Volk. Thank you. Do we have any petitions, public comments, or community events that are not on the agenda? John?
Yeah, I just talked to DOT, the senior engineer, Lee Mitchell, in Albany. He's the one that's leading the design team that's monitoring, and there's another group that's working with him to monitor the 6 test wells they got in our area. They got 3 on my property.
Yep.
They're measuring the ground shift and also the water pressure. And they've come to the conclusion that there's a high artesian pressure there, and it's about 6 feet down. And what happens was, when you have heavy rains, it lifts that whole ground up and then it shifts, and that's what's happening. They're looking at design. They're hoping to have a preliminary report done September timeframe, and then they're gonna. I said, when are they gonna? What's the next step? And they said, once they get the report done, they're gonna send it to Region 8 over in Poughkeepsie. And I figured that's the time when it gets there. They're the ones that are responsible for doing the planning and the budgeting for the project. What they're trying to do is keep the project costs down so that they can get it working. They got. I know one of the options is what what our consultant did when we first moved here, is to put a well 60 feet or so down. That's a well that brings in all the water, and then you put a pump down there and pump the water out. So that's basically a big sump pump. Yeah. And but there are 2 other options that they're looking at, and they'll come up with that design. And then once that is, I said, well, how do I get a copy of the report? And it's Freedom of Information. I says, okay.
So they've got a report already made then?
No, they don't. They're working on it.
Okay.
So, but I think that most likely around September timeframe, but that could slip to October.
Could you just give me the contact information of the person you talked to?
Yeah, I'll be glad to.
Okay. Thank you. Bree, you had something?
Yeah, I was just wondering if there's any update on the crosswalk sign situation.
We have an application, right, Karen?
Yeah, we're filling out the application. I believe the board has discussed the insurance fee and getting the application all together. So it's in the works as far as I'm aware of on the board's side.
Great. So, soon? We don't know?
Well, do we know how long it takes to process the permit?
I don't.
Okay.
So,
Just as long as you guys submit it, and then I would hope it's not that long, but it seems to take forever, whatever we ask for from them, so.
well, yeah.
Thanks.
We discussed paying the writer, the
Yeah,
insurance
it's like
writer
200 or 250 or something like that,
for
so
it, yeah.
we'll follow up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's in the works.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I offered to help.
I just wanted
Help
to-
filling up.
We so appreciate it.
Was there anybody else? Just also, yes, Billy.
I'd like to thank the town board for another street festival. It was great.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you,
Great
Bill.
festival.
That was great.
On this part.
Big part.
Yeah.
Also, there's a blood drive in Rosendale, August 29th. That's a Friday. That's the Friday before Labor Day. For blood, let's see, Lisa Duffy, she sends us 2:30 to 7. I'm assuming it's at the rec center, I'm just looking to see. Yeah, it doesn't say it on,
It says
oh, on the poster? No? Oh, yeah, at the rec center. It doesn't say it on the email. Okay. Anybody likes to give blood, that's, there you go. Anybody else? Remember, we're still having the summer swim, try to raise money for the pool at Williams Lake, Friday, Saturday, and Sundays, and Monday, Labor Day. You guys, make a motion to approve the minutes from last month.
Do you
Do
have
you
a
have a
couple
change?
of, yeah, a couple of things. On, page 3, number 5, this was the public hearing comments, Tim Allred's comments. I just like the, minutes to reflect that, he stated that HRVR would be considering a, wetland treatment, adding a wetland treatment phase to the wastewater system design as a polishing phase.
Well, I would like Mandy to go back and check those before that gets added to the minutes, so if we're not gonna approve them, we can put this on.
Last week.
I would say we should, be really clear on whether that, so you have your take on that, right? So you go back and check.
Also, there's a typo.
So,
Down,
what's that?
on, page 4, paragraph, number 2, it should say paid through the mentioned grant. It thought was a cop, by spell check.
Yeah, because it doesn't always elect them, and then I just redo it and it came through instead of go up. Okay, thanks.
Anybody else? Want to table the minutes then? You have something? We'll table the minutes next month then.
Which contract? Well, you'll just play this one, 117.
Councilman Kozlowski, would you like to start with committee reports?
Sure. Assessor's Department, no money received during July. The assessor has begun reviewing records and is working with the town clerk to determine what to keep. Also, letters will be going out in September or October to round up school district veterans to notify them of how to qualify for the veterans exception. And he's beginning to review closed building permits and the process of updating inventory and assessments based on improvements to properties.
He's actually going to talk to us tonight about.
Yes. The Environmental Commission hosted Riverkeeper presenting on water quality in the Rosendale on Thursday, July 17th. Over 60 people present. Also tabled on Sunday at the Street Festival, providing information on the MS4 district material, Emerald Ash Borer. Previous studies were available and they attempted to do some recruiting. I also, on behalf of the Environmental Commission, want to recognize Matt Connolly for his service to the Commission and to advertise that they're looking for a volunteer to replace him. I've got no news from the chamber. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Councilman
Good evening. First off is ZBA. There was zero intake of money. There's absolutely nothing going on with the ZBA, so they have decided to cancel the meeting for this month. So anybody who was thinking about attending, ZBA will be canceled for this month. Town of Rosedale Highway Department, intake was $10 on a title service road request letter. And later on in the meeting, we'll be going over a resolution for an item that Mr. Gallagher needs for the Highway Department. As far as the water and sewer, everyone is well aware of the $2 million grant with $1,048,800 interest-free financing for a 30-year term. And for the month, the total water was $31,332.24. Total sewer was $26,644.28. Total of $57,976.52. As far as the Youth Commission goes, we had the St. Pauli, or the St. Pauli's Clothing Locker had an intake for the month of $180, and we have a grand total of $1,295.77. Camp, it's been a difficult year because without Kathy, who's been there for years, and then we went on an appointment and he got ill, and then we had to do another shift. But I want to commend the camp counselors, the appointed director, the assistant director, the fill-in director, the fill-in assistant director. Getting caught off the cuff, they did a fantastic job. Nothing's perfect, and I know there was some problems, but considering that they were caught off guard without being front-loaded, I want to commend them a lot. And one other thing I'd like to add, if anyone's driven by the rec center and noticed our 1910 Shack bar is down, I want to thank Bob Gallagher and his highway department, as well as and Jimmy Mem. Well, that's all, folks.
You were doing a heck of a job. Go, go, go.
You can say it too. We'll all say it.
All right, let's all say it.
It's worth-
Thank you, Bob.
It's worth repeating.
Somebody should have took a shower and got refreshed. Nope, that's it. Thank you very much.
Councilman Hassett.
What he said.
So
All right, let's start off with some numbers. The building department this month, or for the month of July, took in $1,325. There were 7 building permits issued, 3 burn permits, and various other money-generating permits. In the town clerk's office reports for the month of July, $5,468.50 in revenue. For the Recreation Department, for the month of July, $1,272.15. And I just want to remind everybody that the Community Foundation, which is the arm that we're using for fundraising for the new pool, the new balance there is $9,406.70. And again, just to remind everybody that the summer swim is going on, as the supervisor mentioned earlier. It'll go on for every weekend until Labor Day. I was up for the past couple of weekends, and there's been a great crowd, so if anybody wants the opportunity to swim in Williams Lake, probably for the last time in that particular environment that we know it, check it out, it's really good. The food pantry, I just want to report on the food pantry. As always, we can use donations of both money and staples, and also that the food pantry has extended their hours on Mondays until 1 p.m. So we looked at our client list and found that Mondays were becoming a little bit more busy, and we had the limited hours on Mondays. So thank goodness for our volunteers. They stepped up and said, let's keep it open for another hour. And
Ken, it's also Thursday night, they're starting Thursday night, and they want that known as well.
yep, I was going to mention that too. That's in addition to our regular hours. But yeah, Thursday
Yes,
nights
and
for a couple of hours. We're going to try that out.
Not everybody knows that yet, so
And,
it hasn't
yeah,
been
and thank you for reminding me. Yeah, Thursday nights also from 5 to 7 they'll be open. So please feel free to use it if the need is there. And that's it.
We're gonna have a pool presentation, so we'll talk a little bit more about what's going on down there, just before my office.
And again, just to wrap up, and I'm sorry, Jen, to thank Bob and the crew for, if anybody has gone by the rec center, as Councilman Ryan mentioned, the old snack shack is gone. That's the first step in the reconstruction of our new pool. So we're in deconstruction mode right now, and tonight you guys are going to hear some really good information from our representative from Weston Sampson, and we're on our way. It's been a long time coming. We're on our way, but we're not done. So that's why I mentioned the Community Foundation. That we're still about roughly $150,000 short of our goal. And, we want to remind everybody that that community foundation is there. And at Williams Lake on the summer swims, you're able to purchase the bricks that are going to be repaving an area around the new pool. So all good stuff is happening. Councilman Metzger.
Okay, planning board at their meeting gave a conditional approval to a minor subdivision, conditioned on getting a change to the deed, granting a right-of-way for the driveway, which is the Schneeweiss minor subdivision.
And labeled final plats. Also labeled final plat.
Yes, and the Rosendale Farmers Market site plan was approved. Again, I reported that it had been last month. I jumped the gun in my excitement. And the planning board took in $75 from the farmers market site plan app. Dog control through various dog adoption licenses, redemptions, took in $262 for the month of July. And the transfer station took in $4,159.03, including $338 for the pool from recyclables. And the police department, I'm assuming nada, because I haven't gotten a report.
And that's an oversight. You should have had it. I'll make sure you have it tomorrow.
Okay, great, thanks.
That it?
That's it.
All right, thank you. In the general fund, $866,738.78. In highway, $725,182.49. Capital highway, $13,859.70. In capital, $70,087.01. In rec sub, $24,587.11. In capital rec, $791.53. In light, $13,813.23. We have a few appointments and resignations. Chief Soul is here to introduce and that his recommendation.
We get used to the new digs here, right? Standing behind. I lost a member who resigned last month, Dan DeLeo, so I wanted to pick another person up so I can keep up on my staffing. So I brought along tonight Randy Weinkoop. Randy, just stand up for a minute and let everybody take a good look at you. So,
You'll look different.
Randy's a state corrections officer full time, so I'm glad to have him. I'd like the town board to take mine and the police commission's recommendation on appointing him to a part-time police officer's position, starting salary of a part-time policeman. Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to hire Randall Weinkoop Jr. as part-time police officer at $17.45 an hour.
I'll second.
What facility yet?
Eastern.
Shawangunk.
Roll vote, Councilman Hassett.
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger.
Yes.
Councilman Woslowski.
Yes.
You're good.
Councilman Ryan.
He's gotta be a good guy, and he's got a tough job, yes.
Supervisor Walsh.
Yes. Thank you.
Welcome. Be safe.
Ryan,
Thank you.
Randall,
Thank you.
are you go by Randy?
Randy.
Okay, welcome Randy,
Thank you.
be safe.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to hire Caleb Horowitz for summer weed crew, $9 per hour.
I'll second.
Roll vote, Councilman Hassett.
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger.
Yes.
Councilman Woslowski.
Yes.
Councilman Ryan.
Yes.
Supervisor Walsh.
Yes. The next one is is retroactive, motion to hire Ann Pizzino as rec aide at $9 per hour for the dates of 7/7/14 through 7/18/14.
A second.
Roll vote, Councilman Hassett.
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger.
Yes.
Councilman Woslowski.
Yes.
Councilman Ryan.
Yes.
Supervisor Walsh.
Yes. And as Chief Soul said, we lost Danny DeLeo, so we're gonna make a motion to accept his resignation.
Second.
Roll vote, Councilman Hassett.
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger.
Yes.
Councilman Woslowski.
Yes.
Councilman Ryan.
Yes, and thank you for the town service.
Supervisor Walsh.
Yes. And a motion to accept the resignation of Matt Conley from the Environmental Commission with regrets.
I'll second. There you go.
Yeah.
I'll get the first one, I want to get this.
That's his.
With-
Roll vote.
Stop by.
Councilman Hassett.
Yes, with regret, and I hope Mr. Conley can see fit to serve the town in the future.
Councilwoman Metzger.
Yes.
Councilman Woslowski.
Yes.
Councilman Ryan.
With regrets, yes.
Supervisor Walsh.
Yes. So next on the agenda, we have Michael Shave here from Weston Sampson to talk to us about our pool plans. The next step will be to approve the contract with them. As you know, this is the engineering firm that did the preliminary engineering and evaluated the condition of the pool and helped us with the preliminary design and construction documents that we used in our applications for grant applications. So we thank you, and he's here to show us where we're at and where we're going.
I would like to thank the council for inviting us down to talk about your exciting pool project. As Supervisor said, we started a couple years ago evaluating your existing pool, and now there's no concession stand anymore. But, the existing pool we found to be in really tough to repair. The substrate underneath the pool was very much failing. There were some other little issues with regard to the deck. The gutters are in really poor shape for the return lines, and the kiddie pool was in really rough shape. So it was our recommendation that this whole pool needs to be replaced. And the bathhouse was also being not utilized in a way that the state would like it to be used, because the entrance was coming through near the pavilion, and it really needs to follow through the bathhouse. So we went through many different reiterations of different views of how this pool would be, redone. The existing pool is roughly 8,500 square feet of pool surface. It's a large pool. And we went back and forth. We did the report, and that was our findings to replace the pool. So as the years gone by, and that was 2 years ago, working with the supervisor and the rec department, we came up with this plan, which basically keeps we've turned the lap pool 90 degrees to where it was originally. The pool size here as depicted is roughly the same, it's a little smaller than the existing pool was. And what we've got is our lap pool going this way, and we've got a zero entry pool where the kiddie pool basically started, and it goes down to 4 feet in depth at the deep end. And we got our lap pool that's 4.5 feet at the shallow end, and 6 feet at the starting blocks for the competition portion. We also programmed a splash pad in there for visibility from the main street here, and we had an optional slide pool here. We ended up redoing, we got some work that's going to be done in the existing bathhouse to bring that up to the way it should be receiving bathers for the pool project. The existing filters are at the end of their life. So it's our plan to renew this whole facility with new filtration, disinfection, to bring it up to the latest codes. Right now, the current budget is such that we're gonna have a base plan of the 2 pools that you see here, and the bathhouse renovations will be part of that first phase. We don't think you have enough to do the optional spray deck and slide facility at this point. The snack shack, which was here, in the future is going to be down here where the old maintenance facility was. And we're going to displace the maintenance facility, and that will be renewed as a new concession stand. And we'll have a closed and fenced area where people can go to a picnic table and buy something and eat it there, and then return to the pool. It's got to be fenced off from where the pool was. So what we're ending up with is a deck plan that's a bit larger, better traffic around the pool than what you currently had. It was where the lifeguard decks were, the minimum distance behind the lifeguard chairs needs to be 5 feet. It was not 5 feet, so you didn't meet code in that respect. So this is going to get you up to code with the latest, it'd be a great pool.
The pool is gonna be made out of what?
It's going to be poured concrete. The most economical way to build the pool, with money reasons, we're gonna use poured concrete in a formed wall, and then we're gonna paint the finish in with an epoxy paint. That's the most economical way to get this size pool. This is 8,200 square feet between the two. The only one that can really shrink in size to save money would be the zero entry activity pool.
So they're basically 2 separate pools.
Yes.
So if you have contamination.
Correct.
You still have the other one to
Yes.
rely on.
Contaminations will be in this pool most likely.
Right.
So by separating the 2 pools, that allows us to keep this pool open while you're desanitizing the one that you have to close.
Which will also be less energy and less time and money to do the treatment to.
Yes, it's half the size of the other pool. I mean, a lot of gallons of water that you'd have to get up to 10 parts per million.
Now, isn't there a concern that with our existing pool, in the beginning I heard that there may be a void underneath there?
Yes, there is.
There is a void?
Yes.
So,
In this end, there's a fairly large void near the main drains down here. And we think that there was a lot of freeze-thaw action, high groundwater, and it's caused all the aggregates in the concrete to just fail. So the actual concrete that's left is about 2 inches in that section, all in this section. The concrete up here is fairly good, and the new pool is, we're going to try to build on top of the old one to minimize some of the removals by cutting holes in the old pool.
So the old pool, but the old pool is gonna be completely removed?
Most of it. In this area, it's all being removed. We're trying to leave some of it over here.
Yeah, I just to make sure that there's no other
Still a
voids.
new pool, it'll just be, some of it'll be sitting on top of where they.
Yeah, we did a bunch of cores up in this section. There were no voids up there. The concrete was sound.
In fact,
Yeah.
it forms a solid base for the
Yes.
future pool. So
Yes.
it's
The-
a cost-saving measure going forward.
Most of the failures were at the deep end. I mean, this end wall was bowing in
Right,
3
so
inches.
that's- yeah.
I mean, it's structurally unsound. And that's due to what is missing underneath this pool. That made that wall weaker. So,
John, you have a question?
Yeah. Did you determine what the cause was of generating those voids and how you're gonna keep it from happening again?
yes, we think it was probably just the action over there. The pool was built a long, long time ago, maybe in the 50s, from what we can understand. If not, it was a,
It was a mud hole.
yes, when it was a natural bottom, actually, and they came in. So we don't think that the subgrade was prepared all that well originally, and then we had high groundwaters, freeze-thaw actions, all working at that location. And the new pool will have a well in it to drain the high groundwater.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna install a well, in case you wanna take the pools down, you have to dewater the area around the pools. And that well will work to do that, lower the ground table.
So you're designing the pool so it'll be drained in the wintertime?
It doesn't have to be. It could stay at a level where you could leave the water in it, but it could be drained as well. You just have to monitor the
So you don't
groundwater.
have high groundwater to worry about it popping up or?
Not in the wintertime. You shouldn't have any high groundwater.
Do you have a diving board?
No diving board. There's starting blocks for the swim team at the deep end.
You'd have to make the pool much deeper to do, the diving boards. Will it-
A low board?
Even if we did, the insurance company.
The insurance company is not
Oh,
gonna do
yes.
that.
Yeah, the one thing that we're hoping is somewhere down the road, putting the big slide in, which would have its own basin, so it's a shallow basin, instead of where the old pool, when it had the slides, you went into the deep end, you plunged into the deep end. The new slides, the way they work is you glide into, a shallow basin.
Yeah, it's a run out track.
I guess the only thing that, I'm thinking about is that before the pool existed, there was a pond/lake there, and it was naturally fed. So I'm just concerned that natural feeding to that underground, where is it going? Are we sure that we're not undermined anywhere else underneath the old pool?
Well, we'll know that when we dig up that
There'll be
end.
more samples being taken up or
Well,
more?
this whole end of the pool is being reconstructed. So the demolition, actually, the bulkhead in the center, from that bulkhead to this street out here, this side, to the deep end, is all being removed.
Understood.
And Bob, Billy, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe that there was a spring underneath where the pool was. The original pool was, it's been mentioned here as a mud hole or a pond. And I believe that was a man-made pond, and it was diverted from the stream that we presently use to fill the pool. That's what those two basin houses are. They were originally used to fill the original pool, which was a dirt bottom. So I don't believe, and you're gonna find that out when you pull it up, but I don't believe that there's
Wasn't
springs,
natural.
naturally fed springs underneath there, because if there were, we'd be experiencing
Other,
an effluent of water right now.
I guess after John had started out the meeting
That's a
tonight,
good
the
question.
213, in an artesian, I just want to make sure that we don't spend the $1.2 million
Absolutely.
and find out we have a similar situation, and that's all. That's why I want to make sure we know what's underneath the old pool before we.
Billy, you had a question?
Yeah, considering to be done, the wet pool and the low pool, will it be plumbed out for the slide in the other pool, so that when the funds are available, you won't have to dig up the sidewalks into it, will that be plumbed out in preparation for that?
Yes, what we're probably gonna do is we're gonna have 2 collection boxes for the pool returns for each of the pools, which will be in front of the filter building. Those will be added onto at a future time, thinking that this is a modular unit and this is a modular unit. So at that point, when you have the funds, we'll be able to run the piping around the grassed area to the new facility here, as well as down here. And at that point, we'll also have to add on to the filter building.
You wouldn't do that plumbing now?
Ahead of time, no, I don't think it would be worthwhile to do it. It could be there for years.
It's all sand in there anyway, it's easy
Yeah.
to dig.
So you could put the piping is gonna be around the deck anyway, it wouldn't be under
Yeah.
the deck, right?
All the piping that's under the deck will be for these two pools.
So the.
Everything that we would do out here would be in the grassed area back and forth. And the same over here. That's why this piece of concrete that you see near the slide feature probably won't be installed in this phase. We'll probably straighten this out here with the deck here, because this may not be installed in this phase. We'll probably have this as an alternate during this bid. But we're gonna try to structure the bid so there are many alternates for the council to determine whether, you know, they wanna take a less expensive route versus a more expensive route. It gives you a menu to choose from when the bids come in. You know, bidding climate is,
And with the bids, when the bids come in, is that just gonna be a bid, a full number, or will there be a breakdown?
That's what he's saying, yeah.
yes, there will be a breakdown.
Okay.
We're gonna structure the bid in such that we can, you know, make less expensive, you know, like a finished system in this pool. We could go for the Cadillac, which is gonna be very expensive, or the epoxy paint. That may be an alternate, so that you have a choice when the bids come in. You know, if it's way over what you wanted budgeted, you know, you could select that. You select the less expensive one, or you might wanna select you're only gonna gain a few years on the finish life, you know, with a Pebble Tech versus the epoxy. So, the cost is much greater for the plaster finish system.
Michael, we set some of these plans out, you had given a rough shelf life of what we're going for. I think it was like 20 to 25 years.
On the
With
pool,
finish
yeah.
that we're proposing right now.
Oh, yeah.
And then there were some examples of other pools that had the very same application, and they're into their 30th,
Yeah,
35th
30 or
year.
40 years old.
You know,
The same kind of poured wall system that we're proposing here are, you know, 30 or 40 years old right now, and in great shape.
So that design is proven to be,
Yes.
you know, outstanding over the years.
And the painting, the epoxy paint lasts?
Epoxy paint, so you'll get about 10 years, 10 to 12 years possibly out of a good finish. You know, epoxy paint is all in the application of the prep of the walls. It's a really good product. It'll last many years. With a plaster system, they'll last the same amount of time, maybe, you know, 12 to 15 years. But it really depends on the pool chemistry. That's what will discolor that product, the Marsite or the Pebble Tech. If your pool chemistry is off, which I don't think it will. Terry said that pool chemistry was always pretty good. So we expect that this will be the same. We're gonna use the same type of disinfection and filtration system that's currently being used in the existing pool. It's a proven method.
And that's affected by the water hardness?
Yes,
And
yes, water hardness, alkalinity.
When you say plaster system, you referring to surfaces like gunite?
Well,
type of-
yes, gunite is a shot product that's shot into the pool.
Mhm.
They just shoot it against the earth.
Mm.
We're not proposing a gunite product in this case. With a gunite, it's too rough to do an epoxy paint without putting a skim coat on it first. So you'd have to come back and, you know, you'd usually lean towards the Pebble Tech, which is the Cadillac, or a Marsite, which is just a plaster, white plaster. And they have granulars of quartz in it.
Is there any kind of a ramped entrance to the lap pool?
Lap pool does not. It has steps coming down, and we have a handicapped lift to get patrons into the pool.
So you're using a machine lift
Yes,
instead of?
battery-operated machine lift. All pools have to have that by code.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the length of the lap pool?
75 and an eighth, you know, depending upon, it's a 25-yard pool. It may have to grow if you wanted touch pads, but
And that
we
is
think
the-
it's just gonna be,
That is the requirement for
Yes.
swimming.
yes.
Yeah, the other one was actually too big,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Does it have going across the same number of lanes as?
Yes, it does. There's, we got 6 lanes here. It's a 6-lane pool.
What are the specific upgrades and improvements to the bathhouse?
That's down the next, that's down the page here.
Before we flip free, I just want to go back and you had asked about the handicap. Yeah, it's going to be for the lap pool, but as you know, we have Brookside that utilizes the pool during the summers, and hopefully they're going to continue to do that. And the zero entrance is going to be so great for them because they bring the wheelchairs right down in.
Right,
You know, right now,
right.
thank goodness we have the ramp, but, you know,
Right.
some of the clients will actually be able to, you know, self-motivate themselves into the pool with this type of an entrance versus having to be escorted down the ramp, you know, in the
Right, right.
past. So
It's really
it's going to be
nice.
easier for the counselors and, you know,
Yeah, I was just interested because one might close while it's being decontaminated, and, you know, elders too, they might not want to be in the kids section of the pool if it's crowded in there. I just wondered if there was a way that they could get into
It's a picnic pool.
into the lap pool too.
This has come up a lot, we used to get a lot of questions about whether we could get shade around the pool, and is there room, I know you have it fenced in, but, is there room to plant shade trees anywhere in this?
The shade trees are a bit of a problem because it increases your maintenance, and it
Right,
does stain.
At a distance from
Yeah.
enough of a distance from the pool.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of room. That's why we've kind of depicted possibly shade gazebos that could be purchased. They're colorful.
That would be, yeah, any kind of, I mean, if you can't do.
The trees
then-
can also interfere with what's going on underground.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
problem we had. way
But
back
they'd be
when
far
it
enough
was
away. It's just,
Right. Doesn't
the
have to be
leaves-
trees, but
the
some
leaves
kind of
fall.
shaded,
yeah, definitely.
something. For
they have
babies,
really attractive
especially.
gazebos out there that are cloth.
Yeah,
Silver
umbrellas,
canopy.
you know.
We'll figure something out, but there's not a lot of extra space, you know, this is really gonna utilize all the inside space that we've used, so. We do have the pavilion, and we have, you know, we may have to design some things around the pool too.
So that's roughly 300 square feet less than what we have now?
Yes.
It actually is gonna allow for more use though, because a lot of the pool that we had before was a lot of deep water that you couldn't use because, you know, nobody was swimming in both, you know, such a deep area, so.
Well, I know that when we spoke to you a couple years ago, by having this layout, it gives you more sitting surface for people that
Yeah.
want to sit in that and just wave their feet or legs in the water. It gives a lot more, so that's,
You have a lot of perimeter.
And hopefully if we can do the splash pad, that also brings a lot of the small, you know, small children away from the pool, you know?
Yeah, top roof would be there.
Will we still have adult swim? Will we
We
still have adult swim?
have to talk to Tara about that, you know, once I get it built, I'll turn it over to her.
midnight to 4 in the morning.
Maybe we can go to the band house now, because we got a long agenda.
Sure.
We can talk about that.
So, what we're doing in the bathhouse is we're gonna renovate it in such a manner, because the grant that you received was linked to the trail system. So what we've done here is we've added a shed dormer, basically, off of the existing bathhouse, which is shown in this yellow color. The yellow areas are depicting where we're gonna do modifications inside the existing bathhouse. The green shade is identifying the new overhang. It's gonna be a shed overhang on the existing building. And that's gonna house a unisex bathroom, 2 showers for use of the bicycle trail people, you know, if they wanna stop. There's also gonna house some lockers for people to put their stuff in while they're using the trail system. That was a significant selling point, I think, to achieving the grant, that link to the trails. We're also got a ticket booth here. Now, this is where we start to get the action. People will have to walk from the parking lot around this corner, and they'll enter the bathhouse through, here's the ladies' side and the men's side, and there'll be a ticket booth that they can purchase and enter the bathhouse. Once in there, they'll have changing rooms to change, and the restroom facilities will remain, for most part, the way they are, except we're going to get some handicap stalls upgraded, and they'll be a little bit larger in size. So we're gonna be putting new toilet partitions, new changing partitions, and new toilet fixtures in the existing bathhouse. and then some lockers for people to use to put their clothing in. And then they'll be able to enter out here and then walk the pathway to the pools, where I think is where we'll put those bricks. We'll embed them in a concrete walk, your fundraising bricks, as that you can walk over them to get to the pools. So those are the bathhouse improvements, and to get an idea of what it looks like from the side, I kind of put this is the existing bathhouse, and then this is the shed dormer addition that we're putting on, and there'll be walls built underneath here that houses those restroom facilities and the locker.
Is the roof, the existing roof gonna be replaced?
Yes.
Yes.
We have,
It's a mess.
we haven't asked them if it's okay to talk about it. We have somebody that's, giving us a new roof.
Secret, because they were there today.
Yeah, so the Bruderhof is giving us a new roof.
Mm.
It's a wonderful
And not only are they giving us a new roof, but you have to mention the fact that when we were in the midst of the fundraising for this and still questioning whether we were gonna get to where we needed to be, we were summoned to the Bruderhof, and Reverend Arnold gave us a check for $10,000 because he said that when he rode by that pool and saw it empty, that it was a form of child abuse. Children didn't be able to use that. So it started at the $10,000 check. It continued through these last 2 years or a year and a half of anything that this town needed to get this done. And the supervisor receives a phone call, and
And
we had a meeting with them, and
they're actually doing the demo inside the bathhouse right now for us.
they've been there for
They're-
about 2 days now, or 2 days, doing the reno inside, and they're going to finance the new roof. So there'll be a new roof thanks to the Bruderhof.
Very generous.
Talk about
Nice.
great people in our
Yeah.
community.
They may also be able to build some shade pavilions too. They're good at that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna volunteer their services. They've done us a great service. We're very, very thankful.
For every dollar you can save,
They're
we'll
wonderful,
put someplace
and
else.
they're wonderful community members and wonderful neighbors, and we really appreciate them, everything they do for us.
A question on the bathhouse, is it gonna be heated?
It's only 3 seasons. but-
Because I remember it being discussed about it being used when we're using the rec center as a shelter, and that when everybody's up there, because there's no power, that there would be functional showers.
Yeah, well, in the past, that was, we did that because we did a temporary hookup to the generators, and that was done during a summer storm, so that was
Yeah.
possible, but, those outside showers will be a 3-season open shower, so that'll be available 3 seasons. If we have an emergency situation, we'll have to look at that down the road. I don't think that that's something we're gonna do at this point. There's not
Right.
gonna be, it's
I
not
just
gonna be,
remembered it
it's not
being
gonna be,
discussed early
you
on.
gotta realize, we're gonna have to drain those piping during the winter season. You're not gonna be able to keep it heated
Mhm.
all the time
Mhm.
in case you have an emergency.
Right,
So,
right.
we'd have to address that as,
And then when you're applying for the grants, if you try to open the doors to other avenues, it changes the grants, right, Mike? That may open up other things like to the Red Cross. now
Right,
they
I
have-
may be mistaken, but I thought that was one of the
Never-
things that was on
We
the
had talked
plus
about it. We
talked
side
about
of
it,
one of the
yeah.
grants.
Concepts
Right.
moving forward,
I
but
just
that would
wondered.
have made it a
Right.
4-season building.
Yeah, so it's not gonna be,
Yeah.
okay.
It would,
What's the proposed schedule now for this?
we're hoping to open up next summer. We wanna do the demo this fall and the building in the spring. So
Okay.
our
Wow.
plan is to open
Okay.
next summer.
Yeah, we have to finish up some stuff and get it to the health department for
So-
approvals.
Right, so that's why we'll be approving the contract for them tonight, and hopefully next meeting, we'll have the stuff that we need to do for the bidding to go out to bid. Brian, you had a question?
Well, I was just saying that in the case of an emergency, if you had to turn that bathhouse on in cold weather months, you could heat it with auxiliary heat for a temporary period of time and make that work. It's not like it wouldn't be.
I mean, we were able to
Available.
temporarily hook it up to the generator, so that could happen again. I'm not concerned about that. Thank you. Anything else? Anyone have any other questions? Did you have anything else, Mike?
I believe that's
Thank
I
you
hope
very
it was
much.
informative and
And
brings you
as
up
we
to date.
said, we appreciate, everybody's input in this and all the people that have helped with this project, it's really a community effort. I think that's pretty obvious as we go through step by step and more people reach out and help us with this project. We're very thankful for all the help. And I do see this on the horizon as a definite happening this spring. So, that being said,
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you for the great presentation. Thank you.
yes, thank you, Mike. I would like to get a picture of the pool the way you have it, so we could post it somewhere in town hall, one of those, that photo there, that would be
You
nice.
want this?
I'll take that if you don't
You
mind.
can have this.
Yeah, we'd like to keep it up.
You can have all of them.
Well, I'll take them all.
Okay.
I got a feeling you paid for it.
You paid for it.
You both said the same thing at the same time.
1.2 million, we're down to 1 million.
Can I just add that the Bruderhof, not only are they helping here, I work at the library often, whenever there's something needed, they are always there. I mean, they help us, but they do it very quietly and very humbly. They don't want people to really know, but they've helped the library many, many times. They really are.
I'd like to say something about the Bruderhof too. Not only do they do things for everybody in the community, but they have a business, Creative Playthings, which makes
Yes.
absolutely fabulous toys for children. If you happen to know any children who are in need of toys, consider Creative Playthings when you're shopping. They don't show up at Toys R Us or in the mall stores. You have to go online and find them, but their stuff is great.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure they'd appreciate the business.
It lasts over 25 years.
It will, you hand it down. It's something you can hand down through the generations.
Many nursery schools and schools use their equipment and their
A
products.
lot of schools do.
Well, UConn, neonatal hospital up in Newington, Connecticut, everything up there is from the Bruderhof. The toys.
And Yushiko does a lot of their work for them too, for any of the plastics. So it's nice they support a local business. So we have here a resolution 8/2014-1, finished design and construction document for the pool. Whereas an engineering study was conducted by Weston Sampson and evaluation identified unsafe and poor structural conditions along with obsolete mechanical code compliance issues. And whereas the town of Rosendale determined the need for a new pool in 2012, and whereas the town has collected funds from donations, grants to fund a new pool, and whereas the town wishes to continue the services of a pool engineer to provide us with construction documents for the Rosendale pool, and whereas the firm of Weston Sampson, 22 High Street, Rensselaer, New York, 12144, has presented a contract for pool design documents. Now therefore be resolved, the town board of the town of Rosendale hereby authorize supervisor to sign said contract.
And I would second that.
Roll call, Councilman Hassett,
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger,
Yes.
Councilman Kozlowski,
Yes.
Councilman Ryan,
Yes.
Supervisor Ward.
Yes. It's an entertainment.
That's Stephen's reconstruction.
Is it?
Yeah, that's-
So, thanks, Mike, we've approved the contract, and,
Swing that sledge.
I don't know that, there's no place out here for me to sign. That's super odd, there's no place for me to sign on the contract?
Yeah, there should be an accepted by.
Yeah,
Should have to be Canada.
you think they, can I
You
have Jill
just
just
sign
put
the
some,
bottom.
can I just, do we need to print something up there? and have it-
Accepted and approved by Town of Rosendale by Jean L. Walsh, Supervisor, Extraordinary.
Well, we'll have have to make it, we need another copy, so I'll
Okay.
send it to you, I'll send it to tomorrow.
We could put a line on it too.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, probably Jill will probably just ask him to fix that and put it, send it back. Okay, next we have a site plan for a Shawangunk Ridge Trail Ride hike. I'm not gonna ask to make a motion to approve this month because I do think we need to, I know Perry's looked at it, but I'm not sure what kind of feedback we need to get from Local Valley Land Trust, which I don't see anything from them in this, unless we want to approve it pending their consent. And I also need a certificate of insurance, which I have not here, so we could want to do a motion to approve pending, with the condition that we get something from Local Valley Land Trust, and we are gonna meet again, so you guys have a chance to review this, then we'll do it next month. Next, we have Mike Dunham, our assessor, to talk about the reassessment plan for 2014 through 2018.
Good evening. Yeah, I hope you all have a copy of the proposal. Basically, I'm proposing, put together a plan to do a cyclical reassessment plan. The first year of the plan would be for the 2014 roll that we just completed, that's just been filed, and the final year would be the 2018 roll. It's a 5-year plan. The first year is the full-blown reassessment, reval, and the last year, the 2018 roll, would be a full-blown, go out, reval. For 2015, 16, and 17, I would look at the market, if there's any neighborhoods or property areas or property types that need to be adjusted, just to keep it 100%, we would do that. And I would also go out during those interim years and review inventory on properties to see if there's any changes. So that's the, kind of in a nutshell, what the proposal is. Matter of fact, the 2014 roll that we just completed was actually supposed to, was the last year of the previous plan that the town had approved a while back. But the state, for this plan to be approved by the state the first and last year, had to include, consist of a reval. So that's why, the 2014 roll, I just completed the project, that's gonna be the first year. And I don't want this to be a sales point, but for the first and last year, we get up to $5 per parcel for doing the project. The interim years, 15, 16, and 17 roll years, we could get up to $2 a parcel. Now, the state has never, since this program has been in place, has never paid out the $2 a parcel to any towns. The $5 per parcel, they have been paying that out. Matter of fact, after you approve this plan, hopefully then there's going to be, I want to authorize the supervisor to sign an application for maintenance aid to the state to get $5 per parcel for the project we just completed. But I guess the first step is the approval of this plan. So if anybody has any questions or.
Mike, what is our equalization rate right now?
100%.
We are still at 100.
Right, and we've been maintaining 100% during the 5 years of the.
Based on the last plan that we had,
Right.
moving forward, the goal was to keep it at 100.
Right.
And this will achieve that goal also, correct?
Anybody else on the board have a question? Well, I'd like to make a motion to support the plan and to give me authorization to sign the application for review for the maintenance of a system of improved real property tax administration aid, aid for cyclical reassessments. How do you say that?
Yeah, cyclical reassessment.
Cyclical.
Cyclical.
It's a tough one.
I'll second.
Roll vote, Councilman Hassett?
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger,
Yes.
Councilman Kozlowski,
Yes.
Councilman Ryan,
Yes.
Supervisor Wilt. Yes.
Now I would ask for a motion for the town board to authorize the supervisor to sign the application for maintenance aid for the 2014 project. We would get approximately, if it was a $5 total per parcel, we would actually get $13,000 from the state early 2015.
Okay, make sure I understand this. Isn't that what I just said?
No, this
Two
is a
different
plan
things.
moving forward. It's a
And then
plan
the plan
that
is,
culminates in 18,
yeah.
and Michael's asking for authorization to apply for $5 rebate on
Is that
tax
this?
parcels.
The
That
call-
doesn't,
This is the application for aid?
Right.
That's what I just
Right.
asked for. Okay, so
That was part of the last motion.
I made one
That's what you
motion
read.
for both things.
Oh, you did?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
I thought I did.
Oh,
Yeah.
Didn't I?
I,
Did you
Yes,
hear
you
that?
said to approve
If it's
the plan,
included in
and then
there.
you read that thing about the cyclical
Yes.
application.
And unless I'm missing something, Mike, that's why I want to be sure. I
well,
mean,
I
look,
don't know if the motion, the
$5
original motion included both, I don't, I mean.
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay.
the
Okay.
intent was, this includes both, right? This puts us on the plan and gets us the rebate, the application.
Right,
we have in
right,
front of us.
yeah.
Good, we're done.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
I used my mind.
Might be missing a big story, Karen. Karen, are you missing the big story?
I told you to wear
Missing the
sneakers.
big interview?
I see him every day.
That's true. It's
like
me.
you.
It's like me, we're everywhere.
Yeah. Let's get it on us.
Okay, the next, Mandy needed a policy in place for records management, so this is a resolution to support a records management program in the town and a policy. Resolution 8, 2014-2, resolution policy for the creation of records management program, whereas the town of Rosendale currently does not have a records management program in place. If we did, we couldn't find it.
Case in point.
Parentheses. Whereas the town clerk is the records management officer, is responsible to maintain, manage, and dispose of records properly in a timely fashion. And whereas the town board of the town of Rosendale desires to adopt this policy, which has been attached here too and made a part hereof, for the town clerk to follow guidelines to maintain and dispose records properly in a timely fashion. Now therefore be resolved, the town board of the town of Rosendale adopts said policy and shall go into effect immediately upon adoption.
I'll second that.
So let me understand, so we're actually gonna save things so you can look back in the past and not you're in the shredder 24/7?
Just to clarify, you know, I've been here a long time, and we've always had a records management person, and you know, our previous town clerks were that, but things have gotten so fine-tuned anymore that we have to go through this process. So nobody leaves here today. Brian, back me up, you were on the board. I mean, you know, maybe it wasn't the best records-keeping policy, you know, we've come a long way. This is a step in the right direction, no doubt, but please don't leave here tonight thinking that at no point in the past have we had a records management policy,
I'd
because
say,
that would be a falsehood.
I'd say in
I'm
fact,
pretty sure we
they
put everything
erred,
in
they were
boxes.
quite conservative. The
We
basic
had a recommend, yeah, no, we had a
Absolutely.
records
documents
management
were like
policy,
100 years
but we
ago.
couldn't find something in writing that like tied it all together.
Yep.
So that's what we're doing.
No,
Yes,
this is good. And
Mr. Gallagher.
I just have one question. Brian was on the board?
those records were lost.
Okay.
I'll
Are we
second.
voting?
So,
Richard Stein.
Roll vote, Councilman Hassett.
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger.
yes.
Councilman Kozlowski.
Yes.
Councilman Ryan.
Yes.
Supervisor Walsh.
Yes. Okay.
Who's taking that?
I did.
Okay, got it.
Resolution 8, 2014, 3. This is to purchase software program for the town clerk's office. Whereas the town clerk issues marriage licenses, dog licenses, death certificates, genealogy certificates, and DEC decals, and is to keep an annual log, DEC decal log, and daily license log for these items. And whereas the town clerk currently has a BAS program with an annual fee of $820 that does not work properly, can only be used for the issuance of dog licenses. And whereas the town clerk has looked into different programs to help with the requirements of the job, and whereas Williamson Law Book Company has a program which will cover the needs of the town clerk with an initial purchase price of $650 or an annual fee of $350. Whereas the town clerk has received a proposal for said services which have been attached and made a part of. Now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Rosendale authorizes the supervisor to sign said agreement with Williamson Law Book Company.
I'll
Under
second
the
it.
current, does everybody
She
get
had
a
two
dog
different
license, no
programs.
matter what they apply
Yeah.
for? Your marriage
One
license, death
program,
certificate, you all get a dog
program,
license.
this costs $820, the new program will cost $350 for the annual fee.
You have to wear it to the church.
Purchase price is $650.
$650, okay, Mandy,
The purchase price is
it's supposed to be $600, right? Okay, so that's where the mistake, okay, let me make a correction, that $650 should be $600.
which is $50 cheaper. Roll vote, Councilman Hassett.
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger.
Yes.
Councilman Prislavsky.
Yes.
Councilman Ryan.
Yes,
Supervisor Walsh.
Yes, who seconded that?
I thought I did, but
Councilman Ryan.
I've been late tonight.
This is Resolution 8/2014-4. This is an annual software support contract for Water Sewer Department billing. Whereas Williamson Law Book Company provides professional software services and training to the Water Sewer Department. Whereas Williamson Law Book has provided an annual contract for software and services in the amount of $907.50. A contract which is attached here to and made a part hereof. Now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Rosendale hereby authorize the supervisor to enter into a contract for said software and services.
And I'll second that too, since it's order and sewer.
Roll vote, Councilman Hassett.
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger.
Yes.
Councilman Prislavsky.
Yes.
Councilman Ryan.
Yes,
Supervisor Walsh.
Yes. Resolution 8/2014-5. Backup sewer district agreement for Williams Lake Sewage Works Corporation. Williams Lake Sewage Works Corporation and the town of Rosendale have negotiated a sewage work agreement relating to the construction of a sewer system, provide sewage services to the Hudson River Valley Resort. And whereas said agreement includes the necessary maps and plans for the establishment, approval, and formation of a backup sewer by the town of Rosendale to have the same boundaries as the boundaries of the WLSWC sewage system. And whereas the agreement calls for the backup sewer district to be created, all right, here's another word I don't know how to pronounce.
Coterminously.
Coterminous.
Coterminous.
With the execution of the agreement. And whereas the town held a properly noticed public hearing with regard to the agreement and backup sewer district on July 9th, 2014. And whereas on October 2nd, 2013, the town of Rosendale adopted seeker findings related to the Hudson River Valley Resorts LLC development project on Binney Water Road in the town of Rosendale, and whereas seeker review of the project was completed by New York State DEC as lead agency, and whereas the town of Rosendale adopted seeker findings relating to the Hudson River Valley Resort LLC development project on Binney Water Road in the town of Rosendale, and whereas all property and property owners within the proposed backup district are benefited thereby, and whereas all property and property owners benefit are included within the limits of the proposed district, and whereas the town finds that entering into the sewage works agreement and forming a backup sewer district as set forth in Exhibit A of the agreement are in the best interest of the town. Now therefore be it resolved that the supervisor is authorized to sign the annexed agreement, and be it further resolved that the town board hereby forms a backup sewer district in accordance with the plans, report, and maps set forth in Exhibit A of the attached agreement.
I'll second.
Can we have discussion?
Yep.
First, just questions. Was there any changes to the document?
No.
From the hearing? Okay. I was just reviewing again the well, there was only one written comment handed in by Chris Beal, and he had noted that there was a discrepancy in that one of the documents said that the boundaries of the district covered, just a portion of one property, and another document, actually, the certification of the waterworks said it incorporated the whole property. So should that be
I think that
correct?
it referenced the tax map, but number, and it's a portion of that, but it's as shown on the exhibit A.
It'll
There's
be
a
clear.
yeah, it's
Okay.
clear from the
Okay.
boundaries shown there.
And he had also mentioned there was a section of, an incorrect reference. Said section 4.1 contains a reference to section 4.1 below. The reference should be section 4.3 regarding inspection.
We can amend it to do that, that's correct.
And,
I think things got mixed up in the renumbering as we were negotiating this.
So it was 4-1,
Thank you,
4-3?
yeah, that should have been changed,
Yep.
And I just, I wanted to just, if I could, just talk for a couple of minutes about the public comments. Just to address the public comments and put them in perspective, because they were mainly about the same, almost all of them, with the exception of Chris Beal's comments, were about concerns about the water quality of the Rosendale. And, over the past month, I've been looking into this quite a bit and talking to the DEC, talking to a friend who's a civil engineer, talking to all sorts of people. And I just want to just put it in a broader perspective. And there was a lot of concern, especially because in the intervening weeks, there was the presentation by Riverkeeper on their water quality data, which, showed that Rosendale is impaired from the perspective of Enterococcus bacteria, leading the Bluestone Press to come up with a clever head, how's the water? Riverkeeper says Rosendale water pretty crappy. But anyway, it's not that funny. But I know that was, heightening concerns about it. But I want to just start out by saying that, and I had said this at the presentation too, the biggest threat to water quality is septic systems. That's like the number one threat, and that's largely responsible for the water quality problems in Rosendale right now. And hopefully we can address them down the road, upstream from us in Hot Falls. The wastewater treatment systems can be, if they're designed, operated, and maintained properly, a better solution. And in the case of the Williams Lake project, it is the only solution, because you have a karst aquifer and you don't have soils on that site to support septic systems. So you're going to have some kind of wastewater treatment system, and that is going to have to release effluent into a stream, into a receiving stream. I know some people in the community suggested, what about having it, go into Williams Lake? Which is an interesting idea, closed loop system, but it's not one that the DEC will permit. I just wanted to, and another proposal had been for the, to tap into the public system. And again, that idea has appeal, especially if it, if the project would pay for upgrading our sewage system. But there are also problems with a very large centralized plant. And actually, I had some discussions with our council member, Manager Green, who was very vocal on this issue and this process. And it's, the larger the system, the larger the potential fail, right? So, okay.
I would like to address this.
Okay, you want to?
So, no, everybody has some concerns and some fears, and I understand that we want to alleviate their fears and their concerns.
Can I just say one little thing?
Well, I want to bring Terry into this.
That's what I was gonna say.
Terry, would you please address the public and Jen's concerns about the type of system that Williams Lake has gotten the permit for? I think people, have some misconceptions about what happens when you have a sewer treatment plant and what's gonna happen as the system that's been chosen and the permit process that they've had to go through.
Well, basically, Williams Lake is looking at what's known as a biocell. It's a completely closed system, unlike Rosendale, what's out in the open. Williams Lakes will be completely indoors. They have sound mitigation, odor mitigation, and they're also gonna send their effluent through sand, another thing that Rosendale does not do. We still meet permit, but their permit is probably 3 times as stringent as our permit system is now. So, I mean, this is a tight system. Any system can be made better, but it's, when they have their permit and the way it's designed, it's a very good system.
And it's my understanding that it is top of the line system. They didn't have to go to this level, but that was what they chose to do. The other thing is, our public hearing was not to determine what kind of system goes in there. That's been determined and discussed and dealt with through seeker and through EPC. This is about the backup district, and it's not about which system was chosen. We're not gonna go back and redo what was already done in the past 7 years. So they've had their scrutiny, they've had their review and their evaluation. So it's time now for us to move forward on this project. And I don't think that that what you're bringing up with the pollution of the creek, it's not relevant to this project. I don't think so.
The only thing I'd like to add is that when we talk about this, when talking to other people, I think in a way, how I feel, that we're kind of undermining our department head who's in charge of our water and sewer. Terry's been with us 25, 30 years in the town. Nobody. So you can talk to people on the way it works mathematically and scientifically, but Terry knows our geography, the way things are, and as far as I'm concerned, if Terry feels comfortable, since it's his license and everything else, and he's comfortable, I'm gonna concur with our department head on this. And like the supervisor says, we have talked about these issues, and I'm sure nothing in life is 100% fail-safe. That's the bottom line.
Terry, I recall during the public hearing that, talking specifically about this proposed system, that it had to meet certain standards in that the effluent had to support aquatic life, correct?
Correct.
And it just short of saying, and I think maybe you can say it, that the effluent that's coming out of the end process will be drinkable water. If it
Yes.
can support aquatic life. I mean, I
I
don't
mean,
think.
It's not
I
gonna
could
be
do that,
drinkable.
you know.
I wouldn't drink it if I were you.
I'm just saying,
Basically,
if
what
it
the
supports
system
aquatic,
employs.
if it supports aquatic life, then, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The level, the standard level is intermittent stream effluent level, which it's not potable, but it's close. The point is that the water is of such quality that if it were the only water going into that stream, in the case of intermittent streams, they can stop flowing. If it was the only water, it would support aquatic life. And in some cases, there are instances where this effluent is a higher quality of water than what's in certain intermittent streams. It actually improves water quality in some of these receiving streams. So it is a very high level of effluent standard.
I'd like to hear Terry's response to.
Basically, the end part of their system is the same type of system used by the DEP. Now, the DEP for the plant in Grahamsville, Margaretville, Pine Hill, they're discharging directly into the receiving streams that go into the reservoirs. New York City does not treat their water. So it leaves from here, it goes down through the city through a series of reservoirs unfiltered. So this type of treatment is good enough for them to discharge directly into their reservoirs with no filtration, and the end product is 8 million people using it. So that's how strict this type of technology is.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Nothing. I said, my concern, I was actually gonna talk about the intermittent effluent limits, glad that's done. But they are very strict. Well, a few things. One, is the sand filter a secondary system?
Basically, the way their effluent would come out would be like Rosendale, we treat, chlorinate seasonally, we only have
Right.
chlorinate seasonally, and then we discharge directly to the Rosendale. They're gonna take that, where their effluent would still meet permit, and they're using what's known as a polishing section of it. So they send it through sand filters, just like you do drinking water. So the sand filter would collect any suspended solids, you know, and collect anything before it goes out, the same, like I said, the same way the DEP does it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess my question for Brian is, in the FEIS, in the FEIS, the project stated that they would investigate using a constructed wetlands for a portion of the effluent and treatment. And at the public hearing last month, Tim had again raised that he actually said he had, been introduced to the company Renewage through then Councilwoman Green, and that the project would be, again, reiterated that they would be looking into a constructed wetlands phase for, as a component, as a polishing phase at site plan. So it was reiterated. So is that, and by the way, I think that that's a great thing for a number of reasons. One is not so much concerned about the system, the design of the system itself and meeting in meeting these stricter standards. It's more about, for me, concerns about the maintenance, operation and maintenance over time. And to the extent that you have a system in place that relieves the pressure on that primary system and provides an added layer of sediment removal, contaminant removal, all of that, that reduces pressure on the system. It reduces your operating costs because you have more sludge being broken down rather than being carted away. It's just for the long haul sustainability of the system, it seems like a really valuable thing, and it's also it also models green infrastructure, and this is a sustainable market, is a sustainable development, and that's a great thing too. It's a constructed wetlands mimics natural systems. So is this still, are you all still planning on, it was just mentioned at the public hearing. So my question is, and I do think that I understand this has all been approved and permitted, but it was mentioned in the FEIS that this was going to happen at the site plan phase, so I feel like it's okay to bring it up, one, but also two, this is a backup system, we're a backup to this. The town ultimately could assume ownership of the system, so I think it's important to ask the questions. So I'm asking Brian the question. Sorry.
That was a really long question.
Yeah, so my question is are you seriously considering it as was stated in the FEIS and as Tim had brought up last month, or no? Or is the sand filter?
All I can simply say to that question is that if it was stated in the FEIS and Tim has said that they will continue to look at this as a potential alternative going forward at site plan, then that's what they'll do. But that doesn't necessarily mean they'll do it.
I know that.
Okay, so.
I know that.
Yes.
And, it's possible there are reasons why it might not work, and that I understand, but, there are locational issues.
Yeah,
and there
at
are
that
financial
location,
issues.
it's got challenges.
But I do think it's, I would like to see it as proposed, seriously considered.
Okay, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I think it's fair, and I think everybody in this room will attest to the fact that everything we've said we were going to do thus far in this process, we've done. So I don't see why that would change.
Well, the res we have before us tonight really doesn't address that. What we're here to vote on tonight is us becoming the backup should we have to take it over. It's a boilerplate resolution. It's a resolution that is done throughout the state. Anytime that there's a new sewer system that's built and it's a private system. It's a necessary step in what we have to do. You know, to the extent that, you know, you've asked the question and it was answered that it would be, you know, your concerns will be reviewed at site plan. We'll have to take that with the FEIS and on their word. For tonight, we have to do this to move that to the next step, the proposal vote.
I've got some research I'd like to share. I'll be quick.
Sure.
Thank you. One other comment that came out of the public hearing was a concern about spa chemicals and carcinogens entering the water system. I did some research on my own and found that concern is really more merited for nail and hair salons, and it's mostly VOCs affecting inside air pollution, not so much residual water pollution. The one study I found from San Francisco Bay talked about medicinal waste affecting the water quality, and even that report came down to you fix it by discouraging or outlawing use of the offending chemicals. It's not something you can address at the well or treatment plant level. I also spoke with Tom Smiley from the Mohonk Mountain House to find out what they do. He said that the biggest issue they've had with their spa are oils from the spa treatments. Again, we're dealing with a health spa, not a beauty salon. They have installed small grease traps in the treatment rooms to keep oils out of the sewer system. He said without them, the oil probably wouldn't make it out of the building. They have not added any equipment to the treatment plant, and they have an aerobic digestion system. I'm going to count on Terry knowing what that means. I also saw that in 2002, New Jersey DEP did a report that required beauty salons, again, with 15 or more sinks would have to get state permit and policing. So I asked Tom what he got. He said the Ulster County Board of Health looked at the plans. He wasn't aware of any reviews by DEC. And that's all I have for the spa chemicals.
I think those are building permit issues, right,
Yeah.
Tom? I mean, that's something that's standard. You put grease traps in with, you know, when you put plumbing in, and probably Terry can attest to that also, that that's standard process, that people, you
Yeah,
know,
that site plan would be the
you know,
appropriate time to bring
same
it
thing
up.
that you would in a kitchen, or, you know, any place where you might have some grease. I think that's, is that
Yeah.
true? Don't you agree on that?
Yeah.
Tom?
Yeah, I offered that as what I took to be reassurance on that concern. You'll recall in the last meeting, I did have a concern about the reserve fund. It's at 25,000. I've been advised that it should guarantee at least 3 months. I'm sorry. It's no less than 25,000. And then thereafter,
I think it's
It's in the amount-
misleading. It's not really 25,000.
Yeah, it's in the
It
amount
has
of
to-
annual expenditures for operation, less fees from residents, but not less than 25,000. I still have a concern, but I understand how it was explained and that it is misleading, it is more than
Yeah,
25,000.
it is a formula involved in that, to figure out how much goes into that.
However, I found the Vanderburg Cove development in Rhinebeck, and this is a situation where the town had to take over private transportation corporation. Very different situation, but the same process. So I called them and asked some questions of the town, any advice they could give us at this point. In their case, again, just very quickly, it was a 40-house development on the Hudson River, built in the 60s. The sewer district there failed in the 80s. There were no capital reserve, such as is already being offered here. There was also no performance bond or capital replacement fund. So when the town took it over in the 90s, they were looking at fines from the DEC and DOH because it was failing. They did say it's been a drain on administrative staff, budgets, et cetera. However, once again, it's a different situation. We already have a sewer district. We would have to obviously expand.
It wouldn't change.
Sewer district.
No, I'm sorry, we have the staff, we have the bureaucratic infrastructure to
You
deal
mean
with this.
administratively, we
Yeah,
will have to.
administratively.
maybe get more people involved.
He said that their cost for the 40 homes, they have 2 plants, they each has a capacity of 800 gallons per day, and they had to rebill it for $1.5 million. They advised that it would be in the town's best interest to have an independent engineer set the bond amount if we were considering a performance bond and escrow account for capital replacement.
That's, yeah, that's in there for building and for.
It's for the construction purposes,
Yeah, for
but not.
construction, right.
I see this as potentially a parallel to, like with cell towers, we have a performance bond that requires fixing and removal. We hold that money to take care of it, should it have to be retired. I don't know the mechanisms. I trust my colleagues with more experience would know that this might be something that could be achieved through insurance or bonding or otherwise. But the concern was really, it's great, we've got O&M addressed, but capital replacement. And you're talking about an outlay of $3 million to, I think, the capital to build this initially. So between 25 and 50 years, you're going to be replacing each of those items.
Do you want to address this, or
Yeah,
you want me to?
feel free to jump in.
All right.
That was a much different situation, and situations like that is what has led to us having agreements like this.
Right.
Because I'm sure in the 60s, they said, hey, we're putting in a subdivision, and everyone said, cool. But
Right.
there wasn't any oversight. In this agreement, we are overseeing them. They are paying for us to go in and do inspections of their corporation, of their system. And if we see something that needs to be replaced, we can say, you have to replace that now. And if they don't, we can take over much sooner. This isn't, we're gonna be on top of them under this agreement.
My
So,
concern,
so that you avoid 20 or 30 years down the line, suddenly nothing works, and the towns do get stuck with them. So this has a lot of protection in for us to be, on them, basically.
Right. I mean,
Throughout.
yeah, well, let me just add, that what happened in the past was nobody did anything for so many years, and then you end up with the whole system needs to be replaced.
Massive
Because you have a
failure.
Massive failure, and they walk away. This says, anytime we can form a schedule, they have to pay for us to send our engineers in to look at it, evaluate what condition it's in, and recommend any repairs or upgrades, whether it's, when you want to call it capital, or, hey, that pump needs to be replaced, whatever. When they say to us, we recommend this needs to be replaced, in this document, it says that they have to follow our direction and make those repairs and replacements at that time. That's why you're avoiding, by doing it that way, not having to have a capital project that's, millions of dollars. And the other thing that I want to just point out, in that situation, I believe the town had to take over because there is no agreement. But in this situation, the only people that are absorbing the cost of that district are those people in that district. The town would never have to absorb that cost, ever. That is not, something that the townspeople, anyone outside of that district would never have to incur the cost of that district. It's always going to belong to the people that are part of that district. Just like it is with the districts we have now. We have a water and sewer district, people are in different districts. Those districts pay and maintain and take care of, as we determine that they, need upgrades or need repairs, we decide and they have to repair it. The difference here is that we're not sending our people in to do the repairs. We're still overseeing. In 5.6, it says, WLSWC shall perform any and all operation, maintenance, repair, and capital improvement work reasonably directed by the town. So if the town's engineers determine that something needs to be done, we have the authority to tell them it has to be taken care of. We're not going to wait 20 years or 30 years or 50 years or 60 years to say, you have a failing system, you have to fix it. We're going to be monitoring that system continuously so that they can't have a situation where millions of dollars have to be done and we have then step in. That's the way this was. And, I've been involved in the drafting of this document, and that was the way we felt. It was better. It was a better system to have something in place where we can monitor and review and look at it as the years go on, instead of waiting until 30 years where we have a capital improvement fund that you just say, fix this. So that's why that wasn't put in there, and this was. Okay.
Can I ask you a couple questions? One, will there be a regular inspection schedule?
I believe we should have, set up a regular inspection schedule.
Okay, that would bring great peace of mind. And,
Yep.
Terry, what does that do to Terry's workload?
It doesn't not to have to be Terry, it can be an independent engineer, just like Bergman looked at this plan also, okay? Because they work for us, we can hire an engineer of our choosing. We could ask Terry if we wanted to,
I believe it also says we get copies of the monthly report.
and we also, that's true.
So we'll see it.
So
You know, you
anytime
see if
he
anything's
sees
going on.
something in that monthly report that's a concern to him, we can send our engineers in there at their expense. They have to pay
They're
for it,
paying for our inspections.
to review it and to determine whether anything needs repair or replacement. There's no point in waiting 10 years, 20 years, 50 years to see if something needs to be replaced or repaired.
Well,
The idea of this is to be proactive and to be looking at it on a regular basis, ongoing.
right, and the town has to be proactive.
Correct.
Yes.
Right.
So I think, I understand your concern, we're going through that with our water district right now. I understand your concern, and that was a concern for me when we drafted this, and that's why it's in place the way it is. Okay?
So, and just another question, Brian, I don't know if you could answer this, but, one, I was thinking of this in one of your comments toward the end of your email about rates, setting of rates. How the rates are gonna be, they're gonna be metered, I assume it's gonna be.
They would do just like we do
portion.
it for our districts.
Right, and we know it's sustainable, that the rates, given the cost of the system and the number of units.
That's right, yes, that's right, shall be sufficient to cover the cost of the operation and maintenance of the facility.
Right, well, no, I know it says that, but it's a much more, it's estimated, I know, but the O&M costs are significantly higher than our town's O&M costs, and the number of connections are lower.
What happens with this is they're gonna have to be up and operational, and then they're gonna have to determine what those rates are, based on the cost of running the district, correct?
Same thing they did in High Fort Worth when
Right.
it was started, they didn't know how much it was going to cost yearly. So they didn't know, what to set the rate, so they set a number telling the residents that this is not your final number, we're gonna run it for 2 years, and then we'll adjust as necessary, and that's what they did.
That's typically what it's on.
And we do that all the time now, we evaluate whether our rates are covering the expenses, and then you have to raise the rates, that's what you do. So that's something that we would have to monitor and watch over.
So I think if this agreement is, as I understand, the town will be proactive, we've got all the mechanisms to police it, and I think that does address the concern that I had about the capital expenditure should we have to take over.
And I would propose that we set up an inspection schedule as soon as
Well,
it
that's
comes up.
That'll be done on site plan approval, not here.
Nothing to
Right.
inspect
Done on
yet.
site plan approval.
I'd like to make a motion that we continue with the vote.
No, there's a motion and a second, so
Yes.
there was
I'm
discussion.
sorry, yes. Okay.
Roll vote, Councilman Hassett?
Yes.
Councilman Metzger?
Yes, with the hope that the constructed wetlands phase is explored. Site plan.
Councilman Kozlowski?
Yes, with a thank you to everybody for their work on this.
Councilman Ryan?
Yes, and thank you for the email on using that as a reflection
My work
for
for
discussion tonight.
Supervisor Wall?
Yes. And I will just say that ends the town board's work for this project. Push it on to the town planning board.
I look forward to those meetings.
Gene, can I make a?
Sure.
I just want to thank the town board for, this is, as Gene just said, it concludes what has been a almost 7-year-long process. And everybody, even Jen, before you became a town board member, Chris as well, you all have worked very, very hard looking at this project and trying to make it better for the town of Rosendale. I think it has become a better project for your efforts, and I just want to thank everybody. It was above and beyond the call. Sometimes these kinds of projects require a lot of oversight and input, so we're very appreciative of it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I'd like to thank Terry and Tom for their input too.
Yep, thanks.
Bob, do you want to address this, you're just gonna do it, okay?
Just give me the money, baby.
All right.
No such luck.
Okay.
If it's over $10,
Good question,
you
Bob.
get more.
I wouldn't give it to him just on the principle that he called you a baby.
I don't know what people are calling me behind my back, so I guess I gotta accept baby as a good one.
I know, we're going around. This is a-
You're not around.
Dump body, how about,
All right, so that
What do
is
you wanna dump at?
resolution
can I drive the skid steer?
8/2014-6, a resolution to purchase a new dump body. Whereas the Town of Rosendale Highway Department has a need to replace a flatbed, which is a 2011 F450 Ford truck. And whereas the Highway Department also has a need for another small dump truck to add more efficiency to the department. And whereas Highway Superintendent Robert Gallagher has received 3 bids for the dump body from Armthor Welding, 20 Osprey Lane, Gardner, New York, 12525. Robert Green Truck Division, Route 17E, Monticello, New York, 12775. Hudson River Truck and Trailer, 12 Commerce Street Extension, Poughkeepsie, New York, 12603, which have been attached. And whereas Superintendent Gallagher makes the recommendation to purchase the dump body from Amthor Welding with a cost of $6,072.82. Whereas the dump body will be installed in-house by their mechanic, and the payment for it will be taken out of DA 5130.2. Now therefore, be resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Rosendale hereby authorizes the Town of Rosendale Highway Department Superintendent to purchase that dump body from the recommended vendor.
I'll second that and be the liaison with, for Bob and the highway department. You know, once again, we got a piece of equipment that served no purpose, it did nothing. So he's trying to put things in place to utilize the stuff instead of sitting around being dormant. So I second this motion for it.
I'm behind the reuse. I'm behind the adaptive reuse.
Roll call, Councilman Haslett?
Yes.
Councilman Metzger?
Yes.
Councilman Kozlowski?
Yes.
Councilman Ryan?
Yes.
Supervisor Walsh?
Yes. Who seconded that one?
I did.
You want to talk about James Street?
Sure.
All right. See, I got you up here.
Yeah, I'll just stay back there. Basically, in the springtime, I had a verbal quote to redo James Street. James Street, as we all know, is probably the worst road in the whole town. It was given to us, would be somewhere around $175,000 to $200,000 to properly mill it, to pave it, basically from McGinty's old house, if anybody knows where she lives, to the church. So it's basically the top of the hill, that section. Callahan's came in, they gave us a quote, which you have in front of you, which we thought was fantastic because that's like half the price. And then another company came in with a quote that was $13,000 cheaper, or $12,000 cheaper. So,
More expensive.
no, cheaper. Yeah, so what I'm asking the town board is to bond, take a bond out for $70,000, which is to be taken out of the 2015 budget to get James Street repaired.
It's a huge savings for the town. Bob and I talked about it, and we couldn't really piece it together from different things, but we felt that it was worth it to bond for it now and be able to pay it off in 2015 and really save, $100,000 or more.
And as one who uses that road, I can tell you, it's like a minefield. It really needs to be paved.
Well, I'm sure the residents want to pay.
Well-traveled
They like
road.
people to go slow.
Yeah.
Does it include speed bumps?
Well, that's how I feel about Mountain
And also the black and white checkered flag in front of somebody's house.
I agree to it, as long as you go down after this meeting on Jack Snyder's front porch and recite the same thing to him.
I just want to add one other thing before you
Yes,
run on
go
this.
ahead.
The destruction of the concession stand, that was really, we just went in there and cleaned up the little stuff. A good amount of thanks goes to Jim Mim. He volunteered his equipment, his time, everything, all his dumpsters, and the only thing we paid for was the material that he took out. That was it. So he's the one that really did it.
Another good deed.
As I said, media. Okay, so we have two things in relation to that. We have, first do a bond resolution for $70,000. And if you look at the next one after that, that's the authorization to hire a contractor. And as Bob pointed out, Peckham Road Corp came in even cheaper. So we're gonna choose them. So two resolutions in a row. Mandy, you have the page from Oric here, right? So you'll have some posting to do after we do this resolution. Okay. I'm gonna read this one. So does the bond resolution get numbered like the others too? No. Okay.
Was this project for the fall or next, in the spring?
I hope to do it in the third week of
September.
Resolution 8/2014, 7. A resolution authorizing the reconstruction of James Street in and for the town of Rosendale, Ulster County, New York, at maximum estimated cost of $70,000, and authorizing the issuance of 70,000 bonds of said town to pay the cost thereof. Be resolved by the affirmative vote of not less than 2/3 of the total voting strength of the town of Rosendale, Ulster County, New York, as follows. Section 1, the reconstruction of James Street in for the town of Rosendale, Ulster County, New York, including sidewalks, gutters, drainage, landscaping, grading, or improving rights-of-way and other improvements, and costs incidental thereto, is hereby authorized at a maximum estimated cost of $70,000. Section 2, the plan for the financing of such maximum estimated cost shall be by the issuance of $70,000 bonds of said town, hereby authorized to be issued, therefore pursuant to the provisions of the local finance law. Section 3, it is hereby determined that the period of probable usefulness of the aforesaid specific object or purpose is 15 years pursuant to subdivision 20C of paragraph A of section 11 of the local finance law. It is hereby further determined that the maximum maturity of the bonds herein authorized will not exceed 5 years. The faith and credit, section 4, the faith and credit of said town of Rosendale, Ulster County, New York, is hereby irrevocably pledged for the payment of principal of and interest on such bonds as the same respectively become due and payable. Annual appropriation shall be made in each year sufficient to pay the principal of and interest on such bonds become due and payable in such year. It shall annually be levied on all the taxable real property of said town, tax sufficient to pay the principal of and interest on such bonds as the same become due and payable. 3, such obligations are authorized in violation of provisions of the Constitution. Section 8, the resolution shall constitute a statement of official intent for purposes of Treasury Regulation, Section 1.150-2. Other than as specified in this resolution, no monies are reasonably expected to be reserved, allocated on a long-term basis, or otherwise set aside with respect to the permanent funding of the object or purpose described herein. Section 9, this resolution takes effect immediately and shall be published in summary form in the official newspaper of said town designated for such purpose, together with a notice of the town clerk in substantially the form provided in section 81 of the local finance law.
And this is gonna go from what point to what point?
It's gonna go for, go ahead.
Did you say that was gonna be basically paid off in installments, or just a?
No, that's just, I would assume that's standard language.
Yeah, it-
This is a ban, we're gonna take the
yeah.
money and then pay it back when you get your,
In 1 year.
It's
Yeah.
still, it's still a
Yeah.
bond,
It'll
it's
be
still a
paid back.
bond,
Yeah.
it's still a bond, but we'll just make sure that our bond has no prepayment penalty.
This is, it goes from what point to what point, Bob?
Goes from St. Peter's to the top of the hill just past John Street, which would be just past McGinty's old house driveway.
To the end of the sidewalk.
and then what, Bob, transition it up to the hill going down and
Yeah, and then we'll work on the next section next year.
Well, that'll
I'm
hopefully
actually working on
get
that with
fixed.
New York Rising, so that'll be taken care of through
Yeah.
that.
And Terry, the water and sewer lines in that area are the newest?
Newer.
Newer.
There is no
Good answer.
Newer than what?
Good answer.
Okay,
Bob, I mean, is it worth talking about, you know, James Street's been in a rough shape for a while, and then the potential of some infrastructure work being done up there. This is an opportunity that Bob came across that, you know, we just can't pass up. just consider we're gonna save $130,000 by acting now. And if down the road, should there be any infrastructure issues up on James that have to be addressed, they can be adequately or properly cut out, addressed, and then replaced from there. But to put the whole project off in anticipation that there's a lot of work to be done under James Street, we're gonna be sitting and looking at that for another 5 years at least. So I think this is the route to go. We're gonna save $130,000. It's gonna cost us a few bucks to finance, but it is definitely the route to go.
Is there a reason to think that there are issues on the upper part of James, underneath?
Well, there's water.
The sewer went in
sewer.
1978,
Yeah.
the water went in 1984.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why it's newer. That's new work.
We'll work on that next, Terry.
We had talked about no coupling up the pantry plant for junction of Maine, but that came too.
All right, so, go ahead.
I need a second.
We need a second on this.
I'll second it.
Roll vote, Councilman Hassett?
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger?
Yes.
Councilman Kozlowski?
Yes.
Councilman Ryan?
Yes.
Supervisor Wall?
Yes. All right. 8/2014, 8. Resolution authorizing the hiring of a contractor for milling and paving of James Street. Whereas James Street in the town of Rosendale is a heavily traveled road and is in desperate need of complete restoration. And whereas Main Street roads will be under construction in 2015 for the replacement of water lines. And whereas James Street will be used as a bypass during this time. And whereas the town of Rosendale Highway Superintendent Robert Gallagher has received 2 estimates for the project from Callahan Industries, P.O. Box 15097, Albany, New York, 12219-5097 for $80,000. And Peckham Road Corp., 1557, State Route 9, Lake George, New York, 12845 for $69,106, which have been attached and made a part hereof. And whereas the Superintendent Gallagher has requested approval to hire Peckham Industries for this project. And whereas the Superintendent Gallagher requested the Town of Rosendale Town Board authorize the bonding of $70,000 will be repaid out of the 2015 capital improvements line items BA 511-2.2. Now therefore be resolved the Town of Rosendale Supervisor hereby authorize Superintendent Gallagher to hire Peckham Industries for this project.
I'll second.
Roll vote, Councilman Hassett?
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger?
Yes.
Councilman Kozlowski?
Yes.
Councilman Ryan?
Yes.
Supervisor Wall?
Thank you very much, Board. Chris, I'll see you in the morning. I'll call. What time? I'm there at 6:30, so.
Okay, the next on the list is bond for the pool. So I believe it's important for us to have a bond resolution done. I picked $200,000 to give us a little bit of buffer. I'm not ready to go out to borrow that money, but for all our grant applications, we need to show the proof that we have all the funds in place to go forward. So it makes sense to do this resolution. I'm not saying that that means we don't continue to do the fundraising and the things that we're doing to raise money for the pool. And of course, until we have the bids, we don't know how much of that money. I'd like to be able to spend this money if it's necessary, but I think that this is a small impact on the town. And with a capital improvement, we can go up to 15 years to pay back a $200,000 bond, which is really not,
What's
not
that
saying.
interest rate?
It depends on, I have to get quotes on the interest, but probably about 3.5 or something like that. 3.5, depends on.
Where are we in the grants? Like we have to do this as part of the
Yeah,
work
some of the grant we have 2 grants.
The
that we're-
CFA and.
So we have
See
to
it.
spend money before we get it back.
And we have to show proof that we have the other money in place. That's one of the problems, that, I keep saying, they keep asking us, where's your bond, so let's do this, we'll be in place, and then we can, we can choose later on whether we do the actual borrowing of the money, depending on where, at the end. And we'll see where our bids come in, it's all gonna be relative to what our bids are, unfortunately, construction costs are starting to go back up again. You know, we originally said 1.2. We hope it'd still be around there. Based on the estimate I talked to our bond counsel, we're talking you know, the way this it comes out with borrowing 200, we're at 1.25, you know, but we really don't know that until we get our bids back. So I would say we'll wait and see what our bids are, and then we'll make a decision about whether we want to borrow this money. But to have a bond resolution in place is going to satisfy our grant applications.
Well, we're definitely moving forward with the pool, and I trust the supervisor and the board when we're doing things smartly here and having that. And I personally feel that we're gonna see the money come from other sources to take care of this. And this is nobody else's thought except my own, so I wanna clarify that. This is my opinion from ear soup, and I feel very confident that we're gonna get the money to pay the whole back end. So this just puts a nice security blanket in place.
Are you coming into an inheritance?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
My calculations show it.
I was in the Coast Guard, I love swimming.
As I've said before, my calculations say we're about 130,000 short right now, which is really not very much. And so I would say, you know, bonding for the 200, give us a little buffer, you know, but if we're going by what the construction documents showed, you know, 2 years ago, so we have to just be a little bit cautious then. Costs could go up, I just want to be prepared for that. But either way, I think it's, you know, it'll be a small impact if we had to borrow that money.
And if we don't borrow it?
If we don't borrow, it doesn't change anything, we just don't have to.
Okay.
So with this being
We
said.
would still come back, I would still come back to the board with, the information about whether, you know, we're borrowing from this person or that person or that person. Resolution 8/2014-9. Resolution dated August 13, 2014, resolution authorizing subject to permissive referendum in the reconstruction of the town pool in and for the town of Rosendale, Ulster County, New York, at a maximum estimated cost of $1,250,000, authorizing the issuance of $200,000 bonds of said town to pay part of the cost hereof. I forgot to mention it's a permissive referendum. Be resolved by the affirmative vote of not less than 2/3 of the total voting strength of the town of Rosendale, Ulster County, New York as follows. Section 1, reconstruction of the town pool in for the town of Rosendale, Ulster County, New York, including incidental improvements and expenses, is hereby authorized subject to permissive referendum at the maximum estimated cost of $1,250,000. Section 2, the plan for the financing of such maximum estimated cost shall be as follows. A, by the issuance of $200,000 bonds of said town hereby authorized to be issued, therefore pursuant to the provisions of the local finance law. And B, by the expenditure of $1,050,000 grants and aid and other available monies hereby authorized to be expended therefore. Section 3, it is hereby determined that the period of probable usefulness of the aforesaid specific object or purpose is 15 years pursuant to subdivision 61 and paragraph A of section 11 of the local finance law. Hereby further determined that the maximum maturity of the bonds herein authorized will exceed 5 years. Section 4, the faith and credit of said town of Rosendale, Ulster County, New York is hereby irrevocably pledged for the payment of the principal of and interest on such bonds, as the same respectively become due and payable. Annual appropriations shall be made in each year sufficient to pay the principals of and interest of such bonds becoming due and payable in such year. There shall annually be levied on all taxable real property of said town, a tax sufficient to pay the principal of and interest on such bonds as the same become payable and due. Section 5, subject to the provisions of the local finance law, the power to authorize the issuance of and to sell bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance and sale of the serial bonds herein authorized, including renewals of such notes, is hereby delegated to the supervisor, chief fiscal officer. Such note shall be of such term, form, and contents, and shall be sold in such manners may be prescribed by said supervisor, consistent with the provisions of the local finance law. Section 6, all other matters except as provided herein relating to the serial bonds herein authorized, including the date denominations, maturities, and interest payment dates within the limitations prescribed herein, the matter of execution of same, including consolidation with other issues, and also the ability to issue serial bonds with substantially level or declining annual debt service shall be determined by the supervisor, the chief fiscal officer of